Welcome to this special edition video. This is designed for the career switchers of Shenandoah University. This is a complete walkthrough video on how to finish your data-driven decisions assignment. So in this walkthrough, I'm going to really encourage you to press the pause button and rewind if you need it. Of course, you can always fast forward through to the parts that you need. So maybe you just missed a part and something's not working quite right for you. You can utilize all of those features inside of YouTube so you can complete your data-driven decisions assignment. So right now I'm here in my Google form. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up your Google form for the formative assessment for the multimedia presentation. You might get the urge to use all the awesome data that you've had during your practicum, but for this assignment, you're going to use the multimedia presentation formative assessment that we did in class. So what I have here is I have a blank form open up. So I just want to show you how to get a Google Sheet from a Google form. So right here, you have two parts. You have questions and responses. I'm going to go ahead and click on responses. And then I'm going to click on this green icon that says create a spreadsheet. And what I'm going to do is it's obviously going to give me the title of whatever my form is and then responses. So I'm going to leave everything the same and I'm going to press the create button. And once you do that, yours will actually pop up in a window, but I have a tab open with my data. So the data that I have here, this is actually from when I was in the Career Switcher program. So I'm going to give you the complete walkthrough on how to do that. In this part of the video, we're going to take care of conditional formatting. What that is I'm going to create some rules that when answer choices are selected inside of my Google Sheet, it's going to light up green for correct answers and red for incorrect answers. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start with my first question, and right underneath that, I'm going to select the data in this column. So for mine, it's B2 to B9. I'm going to click on Format and then Conditional Formatting. How I remember it, it actually has formatting in the last name of Conditional Formatting, and it's in the Format dropdown. So when I click on Conditional Formatting, it gives me Conditional Format Rules. What I'm going to do is under Rules, Format Cells If. I'm going to do text as exactly, and then I'm going to type my answer in. All of the above. And I'm going to make sure that it lights up green for me. So you can see here, my data starts to light up green for correct, but I need to add another rule. So every column is going to have two rules. So I'm going to click add another rule. And then if text is exactly, I'm going to change that one to text does not contain the correct answer. And I'm going to highlight that with red. And then I'm going to press done. So you can see in here now I have two rules for column B. And for this assignment, we're going to repeat this process for as many questions as you have. So I'm going to go to column C. I'm going to highlight my data. And if you still have the conditional format rules open, you can just click on the add another rule. And then I'm doing text is exactly. And you can see this answer is a little longer. So I can find the correct answer in my data. And right next to f of x, I can actually highlight the texts. I can press Control C on my keyboard to copy. And in value or formula, I can hit Control V to paste it. I'm going to change my color to green. I'm going to click on Add Another Rule. Text is exactly. I'm changing to Text Does Not Contain. I'm going to change that to red. And then I'm going to press Done. So now I have two rules for column C. I'm going to do that one more time for column D. Click on Add Another Rule. Text is exactly, and the correct answer for this one is actually publisher. And I'm going to make sure that's green. So you can see here only one person got this question correct. I'm going to click on Add Another Rule. And then where text is exactly, I'm going to put Text Does Not Contain. Change that to the color red, and then press Done. So I can close out of my conditional formatting rules. And so I can see here that this is a different way to look at data. I can tell that my students did a great job on the first two questions, but I'm going to have to do some kind of remediation or reteaching for the question that involves the question for the data in column D. So that's just one way you can take a look at the data. So in the next parts here, we're actually going to run some formulas to calculate correct and the total and do a percentage. In this part of the video, we're going to write two formulas that are going to count our data for us. So what I'm going to do here, I'm inside my Google Sheet. So I'm going to leave a space underneath this data, and in column A, I'm going to type in correct, and right underneath that, I'm going to press total. So I'm going to write two formulas inside of here that are going to help me to count the correct ones and that are going to count the total. So the first one, so I'm in column B. For the correct, I'm going to do an equals. I'm going to do count if. So all that does is I'm going to count if, and then inside my data range. So I'm going to do a range of B2 to B9. So the way I did B2 colon B9, and then comma, space. And then I want my correct answer. So I'm going to do all of the above. So I'm going to count all the times that all the above shows up. I'm going to close my parenthesis. And you can see here inside of this formula, I make sure that my text is in quotes. I have my comma in the space, so everything looks exactly like this, except you're going to have the answer that you need. And then I'm going to press enter. And it counted that 7 students got this correct. I'm going to count my total now. So I'm going to do equals, and I'm going to do count A. What count A does is it's going to count if each cell has text, it's going to count that as 1. So I'm going to do a count A, and then for my range, B2 to B9, I'm going to close the parentheses, and I'm going to count that 8 students took this Google form. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight both formulas, and you might notice there's a little box that shows up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that across, and what that's going to do is it's going to copy the formulas into the other cells, but I have to make a couple edits to it. So for my correct one, I can see here in C2 to C9, I need to actually type in the correct answer. So I'm going to change all the above to communicate to your parents. I'm going to press enter, and you can see now my count adjusted. And if your count does not adjust, you have to go back to make sure that you typed in the correct answer. And then I'm also going to do that for my count if statement for column D. So I'm going to type in publisher there. Press enter, and I only have 1 student that got that correct. In this part of the video, we are now going to calculate a percentage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip a couple rows, and maybe in row 15, I'm going to type the word percentage or percent correct, whatever works for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little mini table here. So the data is going to go right next to it, but right above it, I'm going to type in question 1. Oops, can't spell. Question 1, I'm going to type in question 2, and then question 3. So now I'm going to figure out the percent correct. So this is a ratio of the correct to the total. So the way this is going to work in Google Sheets, I'm going to press the equal sign, and I'm going to type in, I'm going to just click in where it says correct in the 7, and then I'm going to press the slash for divided by, and then my total right underneath of it, and I'm going to press enter. And you can see here, for yours, it might format yours. Oops, let me actually change this. So it might format yours as a decimal first, and that is okay. Because the way to change it from decimal to percent, because we want to really look at the percent, you can click on the format as percent in your toolbar. And you can see here it adds a leading 0. I can take that 0 out just to make it nice and happy. I'm going to click on the box, and I'm going to drag across. What that's going to do is it's going to paste the formula over and then change the ranges of those. So you can see here now I have for question 1 is 87.5%. So 7 divided by 8 gives you 0.875 times 100. Question 2, my kids did a great job. Everybody got that right. And then question 3, got some work to do. So the last part for the percent correct, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight those data points. I'm going to now go up to formula and then conditional formatting. This one's going to be a little different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to format cells if I'm going to do greater than or equal to, and I'm going to do the decimal for 80%. So the decimal for 80% is 0.8. I'm going to change that to my bright green. So really when we talk about proficiency, mastery, and those things, I'm going to say mastery here is 8, and then everything under that, I'm going to light it up as red. So I'm going to add another rule, and I'm going to change greater than or equal to, now I'm going to change that to less than. I'm going to change my color, and then press done. So I added conditional formatting to the percent correct. The last thing we have to do for this Google Sheet is we need to add a chart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the cell right above where I wrote percent correct. I'm going to highlight across and down. So you can see here I highlighted question 1, 2, 3, and then the data, and then percent correct. I'm going to press Insert, Chart. And what Google does is it tries to figure out what kind of chart I like. So yours, it might do some different things for you. Yours might have different colors, but really what we're looking for here, I have my bars that are labeled questions 1, 2, and 3. If yours has it in a legend with different colors and it says question 1, 2, 3, you're in good shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Customize, Chart and Axis Title, and I'm going to change my title here. I'm going to change this to Multimedia Presentation Data. I'm going to go ahead and center this because I like it centered there. You can also change the font. I like wide. You can change it to whatever font you like. And here, if you do have a legend, you can obviously change the text around there. If you have a legend, you can also go down here. There's some different features that might help you out, but really you're going to have to explore inside of it how to really kind of make it work for you. So for me, I have my percentages here. If yours are decimals, that's okay. I have the vertical axis labeled percent correct with my questions labeled. So of course, if you have questions about your chart, feel free to go ahead and follow everything. And then when you post it in your Google Doc, I'll give you feedback there. So right now my chart is done. I like it. So I'm going to press my 3 dots. I'm going to hit copy chart. I'm going to go to my Google Doc now that gave you a copy in Google Classroom. And underneath presentation data, I'm going to press Control V on my keyboard. What that does is it's going to ask me to paste my chart. You can either link it to Spreadsheet or paste unlinked. I'm going to click on paste unlinked for right now and then hit paste. And what it does is it pastes my chart inside of this Google Doc. And now I have 3 reflection questions that I have to do. I have my data shows these successes. I'm going to add my thoughts there. My data shows these weaknesses. I add my thoughts. And then one way that I could change my instruction to improve student achievement on my quiz would be, and I'm going to add my thoughts there. So when I go back to, so that's the part for the Google Doc. But let's just chat about this Google Sheet. So right now I have a couple ways that I'm going to analyze data. We looked at the conditional formatting here. So I already know question 3 is going to be an issue. I can also look at the percent correct, and I can see here that question 3, oops, I put question 2, that should be question 3, is going to be an issue. And then when I look at my chart, I can definitely see that question 3 is an issue. So when we talk about data that drives instruction, these are some different ways that you can look at data to help you make better decisions instructionally for your students.